Hi everyone, Davy here from Just Two Asian Women. This episode has a trigger warning as it does contain discussions regarding violence against women, sexual harassment, and rape. We understand if you would rather not listen to this episode. We have a lot of other episodes that stray far away from these type of topics, so I hope you'll enjoy those instead. Hi, I'm Davy.
And I'm Carolyn.
And we're just two Asian women having candid conversations about whatever the hell we want to talk about with an intersectional flair.
That being said, today we're going to talk about feminism, particularly violence against women, and how internalized misogyny and toxic masculinity plays a role. So get comfy and stick around. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Just Two Asian Women podcast. My name is Carolyn. I'm a Gemini. I'm Laotian American, and I live in San Diego. I really had to think about that one. I don't know why. I'm like, who am I again?
I know. Hi, everybody. My name is Davy. I'm from Long Beach, California. I'm Cambodian American, and I'm an Aquarius.
We have like a pretty heavy topic today. Violence against women, though it's heavy, it's ever present in the lives of women, trans women, cis women, or even non-binary people too.
Mm-hmm.
Though we can't speak on that experience, but basically anyone who presents himself in a feminine way.
Mm-hmm.
We got issues.
And we just wanted to talk about this topic because we felt like it was really important. And we always talk about how language matters. And we live in a very misogynistic society, and it's not on accident, right? So we want to talk about it, navigate it a little bit better, talk about our experiences, how it works structurally, and what we can do about it.
Yes. And also special shout out to Sammy because he actually recommended that we talk about this.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Sammy.
Thank you, Sammy. Hope you're doing well. So first, we're going to talk about our experience with harassment, violence, sexual assault, what have you, which is kind of intense.
So we just gonna get started because
let's just go into it.
All right. So I just want to give you all some context. 1/3 to 1/4 of women experience sexual assaults, and it's usually someone you know. There's this narrative that it's somebody in the bushes that's out to get you, but that's not what usually happens. Unfortunately, it is someone you have a connection with. And I can speak on that experience. Somebody had sexually harassed me with their words, and it was very out of nowhere. My cousins and I were at the Thanksgiving party, and Jack is like not related to me, but we've known each other since we were children. And at the time, I think I was about 20 and he's about 30. So like a 10-year age gap. But I've known him since I was a kid. And he would visit sometimes, on our family gatherings and stuff. But this time was really weird. We were all just sitting in the living room, and out of nowhere, he comes up to me and is just talking to me about like my career and stuff. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, we should go into my room and then like have sex." And I was like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, dude. It was so out of pocket. And I considered him as like a familial connection. So it was really gross. I felt disgusted. So I just got up and I went to the kitchen. That was just, nothing like the movies where like you slap them in the face or anything. That was just like, I gotta get out of here. I cannot believe it just happened. And no one heard this.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So that was my first response. And I was like, dang, I always knew he was creepy. So then my cousin and I were like, how it was Black Friday and stuff. We were like, oh, let's go to Best Buy. And then my cousin and I go to Best Buy. We're just chilling, looking around stuff. And then fucking Jack is there. Jack and our other cousins from the party decide to also go to Best Buy, like right after us. And I'm just like, oh, you fucking kidding me. So I was like, whatever, let's just go. And then Jack goes up to me and my cousin, I call him a cousin, but we're not really blood related, but we grew up with each other. And Jack goes to me and my cousin, he says, "Hey, like you two like have a thing, like you guys should just fuck." And I was just like, oh my God. And I told him, "Jack, do not ever fucking talk to me like that ever again." And I just turned around and walked away to the bathroom. I was so pissed. And the next day I messaged Jack on Facebook and I was like, "Listen, like you're 10 years older than me. I don't know what you're doing. That was so disrespectful. Like, do not ever talk to me ever again." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It was a joke. I had a few beers." And I was like, "No, that's it." And I blocked him. That experience was so hurtful because I thought he presented himself as somebody who I could trust just because he's a part of the family
Mhm.
circle. My cousins were just kind of shocked. I think they talked to him. I'm not sure, but I felt really alone and
Yeah.
isolated. Like I told my brother, and he was really pissed, and he's like, "Do you want me to fight him?" And I was like, "No," because like he's strong. He might beat you up. So like, no, seriously, like he took martial arts, Jack. So I was just like, well, I don't think violence is really going to solve this. You know what I'm saying? What's going to solve this is that everyone takes account. I told my parents because I was pissed. I was like, can you talk to his parents and like tell him how fucked up that was? But I don't, I felt like everyone was kind of silent and like, it was like kind of like, oh, he's bad. Just don't go there to the house anymore, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like everyone needs to have a conversation. It has to be a community thing where everyone has a conversation with him and it's like, listen, don't ever fucking talk to Dobby like that ever again. You owe her apology,
Mhm.
this and that. And I just felt like I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened. Uh, some people have nothing but the audacity. The
Mhm.
fucking Jack. Oh my god. What we don't need to discuss how fucked up that is. But also the fact that most sexual assaults or harassments occur not with a stranger
Mhm.
is just like another level of hurt, you
Yes.
know? Because it's all like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? Like I
Exactly.
literally trusted you, you know,
Yes.
to some extent. And now I feel like a fucking idiot.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I mean, even though that person, even though you shouldn't, and anybody else who experienced that should not feel like an idiot, but I think when it happens to you, you do feel a little bit like an idiot.
Yeah, because I was like, "Oh, I trusted him, like, I should have known," or this and that, and I was like, "No, I
Mm-hmm.
should not have known." That was, like, out of nowhere, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody was flabbergasted.
And I also hate that like you did the right thing. Well, I guess there's no right or wrong way to go about things, really. But the way you approached it was like reaching out to people because you wanted him to be accountable because he will pull that shit again, you know?
Mhm,
Like he will.
mhm,
And all you're asking was for it to be fucking stopped, you know? And there's power in numbers. You know, your brother tried to help, that's great.
mhm,
Um, and your parents, like, you know, they're in a position of power just by virtue of them like being in the community for so long, you know?
mhm.
And I don't know, it's just I just think it's really sad that they didn't feel it was even like necessary to say or do anything.
I actually said something and nothing really happened. Imagine people who don't say anything
Yep.
or something worse that happened. I was like, "Oh," I was just so upset, and to this, like, day, I don't trust him. I don't ever wanna see him. So, that's that.
That's horrible. It's like if you damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, I think people should try and do something anyway, just to try. Maybe something will happen.
Mhm.
But a lot of the times, like you do try and you try really fucking hard too. And everyone who can help is like, no, we don't want to do that. Yeah. And it's like, the fuck? Like, can you use your brain and help me? Like,
Yeah, right. Can we work as a group?
yeah. So and I cannot express enough how much I hate that. So let me just make that known because
Yeah.
that makes me fucking upset. On my end, I think about like this one story or this one incident that happened to me. So I was hanging out with my friend Tonks, and again, I always use Harry Potter names. It's not related to that person's gender or the character whatsoever. But anyway, I was hanging out with my friend Tonks. We had just been to the beach. And then after that, we went to Tonks's friend's house. And I've been there so many times before. But I was tired from being at the beach, out in the sun all day, walking around, blah, blah, blah. So they had like a downstairs area where like people don't really hang out in, and then like the upper floor area where the party gathering is actually happening. Anyway, so I was hella tired. I was like, Tonks, I'm gonna go take a nap. And they were like, okay, cool. Went downstairs to take a nap on the couch. And I'm chilling, sleeping, and then I wake up and there's like this random like man touching me.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I was like, I and it's so hard to describe like what was going on. Like, I mean, in my mind, like I knew what was going on in
Mhm.
the literal sense, but like I was just curled up on the couch. They didn't have a blanket. That's fine. But then I just wake up because I feel this person like touching my leg, or just like full rubbing motion. It was very gross. And I was so confused. And at that point, like honestly, my brain was just like freeze mode because I was so fucking confused. I had my glasses off because I was fucking sleeping. And I was all like, who the is that? Tonks? Who is that? Like I've literally never seen this person before. So eventually I just like get up, I sit up and I kind of like scoot over to the farther end of the couch. And this dude is just like looking at me, I think, because I don't have my glasses on. And then I was just like, what? I put my glasses on and I'm like, that's not Tonks.
Mm.
And then I was like, where's Tonks? They were like, who's Tonks? And I was like, I don't know, like, yay, hi, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, I don't know. I think they left. And I'm all like, what is going on? Anyway, they were also hella faded, which is not an excuse, but that
Absolutely.
they weren't like aggressive per se, but they were still creepy.
Yes.
But I bring that up because I get up to go. So they're just sitting there because they're both so chilling. I go upstairs and I see like Tonks with everybody else just doing their thing. And I'm like, okay. But anyway, so that situation happened. Fast forward. And I didn't know that person. I suppose it was like a friend of the host person's house. And I'm just hanging out with Tonks. Tonks is like, oh my God, this person like lost their driver's license at my friend's house and I gotta go return it to him. Tonks pulls out the driver's license. And you know who it motherfucking is? It's the fucking
The creep.
creep molester,
Yeah.
Like I was just gonna take that story to the grave. I was like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't feel like I have to. Why do I have to tell Tonks about that? Anyway. And I was all like, wow, this is like really good dramatic irony if this was a movie. Like, what were the odds that Tonks would find this motherfucker's driver's license and then would want to return it? So I was like, oh wow. And I was just sitting there because I'm like, damn, I don't want to see this person again ever. I was just gonna go on with my life. Anyway, I was like, something actually happened like with that guy. Tonks was like, okay. And I was like, well, you know how I was taking a nap at the house? Tonks was like, yeah. And I was like, well, that guy was like touching me, like in a sexual way when I was sleeping. And then Tonks's first response to me, get ready for this, brace yourself.
No, please. Okay.
Tonks was like, why were you taking a nap?
What the fuck?
I know. And this happened maybe when I was, I'm gonna say like 19, 20 ish. I don't quite remember. But even back then, I had always known that like victim blaming is wrong and like feminism is a thing. So Tonks said that to me, and I was like, what the fuck? Why does it matter if I was fucking napping? You fucking asshole.
Yeah, people fucking nap. Like,
yeah.
like
I'm
why is that the first logical question? It's not even logical.
literally. And I was like, why the fuck would you ask me that? Like, I was fucking tired. You're with me at the beach. I told you I was gonna take a nap. If you thought it was so questionable, why didn't you fucking tell me not to take a nap like then and there, huh?
Like, why
And
is that the first fucking question that comes to mind?
Yeah. And they're all like, well, it's just like, blah, blah, blah. And I was all like, no, like you are literally victim blaming me right now. All I did was fucking nap and he was the one touching me.
Yep.
And you're telling me that I shouldn't have taken a nap?
Right?
Like, you don't get to do that to me. If you really believe that, you shouldn't have let me take that nap. Fucking asshole.
Yeah. And even if he was like, don't take a nap because we don't know these guys here.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, that's the fucking, they have to talk to the fucking guys then.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to worry about to take a nap or not after you've been exhausted because there are potential predators out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's so fucked up.
I know.
Sorry.
So
Mhm.
it's it's fine now. After that, well, that conversation happened pretty fast, and then Tonks was like, "No, you're right," and I was like, "Oh, okay, good." I was
Okay.
ready to keep fighting,
Yeah, 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 totally.
and they were like, "No, you're right, you're right. I'm sorry I said that. I don't know why I said that. I guess I
Mhm.
was just more upset, and you're the only person here. Blah blah blah."
Okay.
And I'm like, "I guess I understand that, but that's not my problem."
Right.
Um.
Sounds like a personal
Anyway,
problem.
yeah. So eventually, Tonks was like, "Well, uh." What do you want to do about it? Like, should we confront them? And I was like, at the time, I guess we should have confronted him. I guess I should have told more people because I'm sure that guy went out and fucking raped somebody at this point. I don't fucking
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
Um, so at the time, I was like, no, I just don't want to see him again.
Mhm.
Um, so Tonks was like, okay, okay, I'll give the driver's license back to like the post person's house and they'll take care of it. We don't have to ever deal with that ever again, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So anyway, that was that. I bring it up because I thought it was like more so interesting. I think what's more interesting about these stories is like the reactions that the people around us give us, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because I think we're used to, like, the creep, doing creepy things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand what goes in somebody's head. It's like, "Hey, let me go to this room where this person I don't know, I'm just gonna start touching her,"
Mm-hmm.
but, like, what's done has been done, so, like, after it's like, "Alright, how am I?" You handled it in terms of, like, telling your friend about it, and then, yeah, the responses of what the people say is, like, really, I think, telling of a person. Yeah.
I agree, honestly.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's like people wonder, like, well, why does this keep happening? Well, it happened, and like I told someone though reluctantly because I didn't want to tell anyone,
Mhm.
and and then we nothing happens. I got victim blamed. You tried to get something done by
Mhm.
asking the people in power to do something, and they
Mhm.
basically were just like, I don't want to.
Yeah, pretty much. So, when people are talking about, like, "Oh, why didn't you just tell somebody?" I mean, Carolyn and I did, but it's really valid for people to not because, first of all, sometimes they don't get believed. 2, in
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn's case, they blame them automatically, and then just so many things, guilt, shame, you know? Not guilt. So guilt and shame is a little bit different because guilt is like, I did a bad thing. Shame is like, I am a bad person.
Oh, that's okay. That makes total
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, so people feel shame that that happened even though it's not their fault at all. So it's complex, and even if people did report, like, who if it's more like a serious problem to look if they were people report to local authorities, most times those cases don't even follow through. Or if it does go to court, like, what is the punishment? But yeah, but we do want to talk about why that happens and continues to
Mhm.
happen. You hear the story time and time again. There is a structure to it. So, we want to talk about how misogyny is manifested differently between men and women. And of course, sometimes it can overlap. Take, for example, toxic masculinity, fake male allies, internalized misogyny, feminism, etc. For me, I don't really quite have a specific story in mind, but with men, they tend to be very violent. We've heard stories about men killing their partners,
Mhm.
over jealousy or catcalling, groping, all these actions that make women uncomfortable, feel unsafe, and ultimately lead to their death sometimes. Um
Yeah.
Mhm,
And it's like with men, like all of those like little objectifying comments that they make, like it allows the men who think that like the more extreme end of the spectrum is
mhm,
or it makes the more violent men think that it's acceptable now. You're like, oh, my friends believe the same thing. Women are just things to overpower.
mhm.
And it's just it's just so annoying, especially when fucking people don't want to call it out and correct them. Not even just men, but like women too. So it's disappointing, honestly. And in the past, I would think like, oh my God, if these people like really love their partner, why do they keep hitting them? But
Mhm.
you know, it's like at the end of the day, it's about maintaining power over like the subservient gender in their eyes, right?
Yeah.
So men, why do they catcall when they know that they don't have a chance with those women? It
Mhm.
gives them power. It
Yeah.
makes them feel power over the woman because the woman's discomfort gives them power.
Exactly. Like they see how they obviously blatantly affect women. Women feel uncomfortable, they turn the other way, or if they're more aggressive, they like flick them off and yell at them. But that's scary because those men can backlash at you
Mhm.
and be more aggressive and potentially harm you. So,
Yeah, like follow you down the fucking street all the way back to your home and stuff.
mm-hmm. And I like what Carolyn pointed out, like it is about power.
Mm-hmm.
When people think of rape, it's not about because someone's horny, okay? It's
Mm-hmm.
about taking control and definitely just dehumanizing somebody because they can
Yeah.
and need to do that action to feel like they have power. Being operated on power and believing that women are subservient or inferior for sure.
Yeah, that's why like men's egos are so fragile. As soon as you call them out, that takes away the power that they're like clutching onto for dear life. Like they say something sexist, and then you, as a man or woman or non-binary person, is
Mhm.
like, that's kind of sexist. And
Yeah.
then they're just gonna fucking punch a hole in the wall and
Mhm.
fly into a violent rage. Don't call me sexist. I love my mom. Blah blah
Right?
blah blah.
Right?
You're the sexist one for calling me sexist.
I know, right? Or like, why are you defending them bitches? Like, boo. Like, it's just some stupid shit. And
Mm-hmm.
I agree, like, you need to call out people. It's uncomfortable, but damn, like, there's a triangle diagram that kind of represents why language is so important. It's called rape culture, okay? If people joke about rape, like, oh, I just got raped when you're like playing a fucking video game,
Yeah.
or, this test raped me, shit like that, or calling women sluts, it's not made in a vacuum. Like those words become action, give
Yep.
situation in the person. So when people are like, "Oh, why are you so sensitive?" or "Why are you always correcting me?" I don't want to explain the whole fucking triangle to you. I do have a story. But women in internalized misogyny, I think of like movies and stuff, like them being accomplices, like sex trafficking, But I think more everyday type of thing that we see is women calling other women sluts or judging them for like posting nudes or OnlyFans. And for me, I do not give a fuck. I support those women because guess what? I don't hate women. Like some people might have a hard time wrapping their head around that I don't care and I actually support women who have OnlyFans. I think feminism is allowing women to make choices for themselves that do not harm other people. And I had a story real quick is that I had a toxic friend who I unfriended a while ago, but just one day we were driving around SCSU and there was a bunch of women rushing for sororities and she just was like, "Oh, sluts." And I'm like, "They did nothing to you. Literally
Mm-hmm.
nothing."
Those women were literally just like existing. All
Yeah.
they wanted to do was join a fucking sorority.
Yeah.
Like everything a woman does makes them a fucking whore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And even women like uphold that too. Like internalized misogyny is a thing. They want women to like adhere to strict gender conforming things and any expression of sexuality outside of like that little tight gender conforming circle is you're automatically like branded a whore, a heathen, what have you.
Exactly. And I wanted to point out too, like with trans men and trans women,
Mm-hmm.
that trans women, people assault them way more than, cisgendered women and
Yep.
trans men because how society views it is that they get it more if you're trying to become or sorry, transition to a man, right? But people don't really understand like why would you want to be a woman? You're a fucking trans woman, you tricked me. The reason why there's more violence is because they're a trans woman, not a trans man. But
Mhm.
trans men do get violence. But I want to like throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 1,000%. And it just, I don't know how to put it into words. It just sucks, like to an infinite degree.
Yeah.
Like the the interconnection, overlapping of misogyny and like homophobia. It
Hmm.
just the the way that that catalyzes violence is like absolutely like statistically horrible.
Yeah.
Like it's terrible. And I also really hate like fake allies to
Oh.
feminism. Like they are the worst. Like you, it's like you think you could trust them, and
Hmm.
then they go around and say some shit, and I'm like, to me you seem like you're down with feminism, so let me correct you. And then they're like, how dare you, how
Hmm.
dare you, I love women. And it's
I
like
have three sisters and I love my
it,
mom.
yeah. Oh my god. So it's like white feminism, for example, is a great example of that, like a fake feminist ally, because they completely ignore intersectionality within feminism. And because they ignore like that literal essence of feminism,
Hmm.
they're not really feminist. And what is the point of feminism is to um dismantle the patriarchy, right? It's not all about being a hashtag girl boss, okay?
Hmm.
Um, so there are like literal people out there who think it's okay to fucking celebrate Susan B. Anthony when she is literally racist. Um, and then when people try to call them out, they're like, we're just women at the end of the day. You gotta stop attacking me, okay? We
Gotta
gotta
stop.
support each other.
We gotta stop dividing each other.
Yeah, literally. And it's like, oh my God, this is like infuriating. Fake male allies to feminism is really annoying too, and very insidious as well, of course. Um, like they like the TM nice guys. And if you don't know nice guys, I know that sounds nice, but in reality, nice guys are men who pretend to respect women so that they can sleep with them or get some kind of sexual reward for respecting women or preaching very basic feminist ideas. And then as soon as a woman like rejects that, a nice guy is going to be like, oh, I can't believe you friend zoned me. I'm so mad. Why was I nice to you? What did I do all of that for?
Exactly. It's like, oh, oh, now I don't get a fuck. Well, fuck you.
Yeah, like you're a
It's
fucking bitch.
yeah. Then it turns around. Their whole facade is drawn. The curtains are up, and they're
Mm-hmm.
totally exposed themselves. And like we've seen this so much. You know,
Yes. Yes, it's actually so sad and very embarrassing
it
to like
is.
secondhand embarrassment. I'm
It
like
is.
cringe, ew.
Absolutely. And the worst of it too is when those nice guys start bitching to their friends. They're like, yeah, and she led me on and I pay for
Yes.
her
Yeah.
dinners and food and she talks to another guy. And you don't even get the full picture. You don't see that they agreed to be friends and that he just kept on want to be with her sexually and just didn't happen. He exploded. Do you have
I
an
have a
example
perfect
of
story
that?
about that actually.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna call my friend Bellatrix, and then we're gonna call the person who liked my friend Petunia. Okay. Look, I love Bellatrix. We're still friends to this day, and Bellatrix is great. So let's make that clear. Bellatrix, they're just doing their thing. They've been friends with Petunia for like a good while now, like a couple, like handful of years. They've been friends all throughout college, right? They do their thing, they hang out, they do friend things. It makes sense. One day, Petunia is like, oh, I like you, Bellatrix. And Bellatrix is like, okay, I don't like you that way, but we could still be friends if you want. Like, we've been friends this whole time. Petunia's like, okay. So that happens, blah blah blah. But then Petunia, this bitch, is going around like telling all of their friends, oh my god, Bellatrix is leading me on. Like literally, like why are they doing that? And of course, all of Petunia's friends are hyping them up, and they're all like,
Wow.
Bellatrix is a fucking bitch.
What
Why
did I
would they do that
say?
to you? They're awesome, or you're awesome, Petunia. You are so cool. How could they do that to you? We hate Bellatrix. And then, so Petunia was kind of like, I guess you could say like pretty popular in this one club on the college campus, right? Petunia was like, "Hey, you should come to the club." And Bellatrix was like, "Okay, cool, yeah, I'll go to the club." Bellatrix goes in, and Bellatrix is just trying to talk to everyone. Everyone's giving Bellatrix the cold motherfucking shoulder and making her feel really awkward, And Bellatrix was like really confused. And then sometime later, Petunia was like, "Oh yeah, it was because I was like telling them that you're leading me on and like
What in the
and
world?
that you were being mean to me and stuff." I don't know why Petunia thought it was a good idea to
Tell
admit to that,
them.
but now we have that tea. Okay, now we have that tea.
Yikes.
And when Bellatrix was telling me that story, I was all like, "Excuse me, what the actual fuck?"
Mhm.
And like, at the time, Bellatrix and Petunia were still friends even after all of that happened, right? Which is questionable, but we're all adults, I suppose.
Mhm.
Um, so after that, Petunia and Bellatrix were still friends. Petunia tries to confess their fucking dying love for Bellatrix
Not
again.
again.
And also again, Bellatrix is like, "I don't like you." And then
Yeah.
Petunia is just like, they're delusional.
Seething rage.
Yeah. So anyway, Bellatrix is telling me this story, and I'm like, so this person you claim to be your friend continues to push your boundaries by telling you that they like you, even though you said no multiple times to them. And
Mhm.
they get mad each time because they believe that you're, quote, leading them on. And then on top of that, they spread essentially rumors and slander about you to their dumbass friends about how you're being a bitch, leading Petunia on and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Uh, and Bellatrix was like, "Yeah, now that you say it aloud, it doesn't really make much
Makes
sense."
things more clear.
I was like, you know what? Again, I respect you because you're my friend and I like you a lot. If I were you, I would not be friends with Petunia. And now knowing all of this, I will never talk to Petunia
Oh,
again
absolutely.
because, like, I cannot even entertain them.
No.
Like, how could I? That's just like, I physically cannot do that, you know?
Right. And that's what they want. They want entertainment. They want
Mm-hmm.
sympathy. They want everything and they act like a spoiled brat. I don't even
Yeah.
want to say spoiled brat, delusional, because when somebody has rejected you multiple times, don't you think it's time to like move on to the next?
You would think
It
so.
could be that simple, right? Or
Yeah.
no, I'm just gonna cling on to dear life to this person who doesn't like me and will never like me, and then I'll disparage them because they don't
Mm-hmm.
like me, even though they told me that they don't like me.
Yep. Needless to say, Petunia is out of Bellatrix's life. Petunia has been out of my life for a very long time.
Nice.
Um, but it just goes to show like these nice guys will play the long game. They'll be your friends forever. They'll be around you forever, acting like they're decent
I
humans.
know.
And then they're like, "Now is the time to strike. Now is the time."
Dude, they're like no lives.
I know. God, I hate that. So don't be a fucking hashtag nice guy, uh, because they suck and I hate them.
Yeah, and absolutely. And can I ask,
Yeah.
when Petunia told their friends about Bellatrix, were those mutual friends between Bellatrix and Petunia?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all separate.
Oh, okay, for sure. I was like, oh, I thought they were the same. But I want to tell people if you are in like the same friend group and that happens, I definitely ask the other person what happened. But this one was
Mhm.
different because it was different friend groups. But damn, that sucks.
every time I hear like one of my friends complain, or even like anybody who's in the room and they're complaining about some woman, or no, if they're complaining about a woman,
Mhm.
like, oh my God, this person being a bitch and giving me the cold shoulder,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. And
Mhm.
I'm all like, tell the whole motherfucking story.
Right? Like, you can tell, like, you are not the only offender, or they're not
Yeah.
the only offender, like, dude, one time, I tell you a funny story? It's a little off
Yeah.
topic.
Uh,
So, I was living in my previous house in San Diego, right? And it was, like, a
mhm.
Halloween party, and then my roommate's friend, like, drunkenly comes up to me, and he's into me, and he's, like, asking me out, and
Okay.
like, listening to his, like, life story. He's like, "Yeah," he's like, "Yeah, I used to live in Arizona with my ex, and, like, she did drugs every day, and, like, blah, blah, blah." And I'm just like, why are you telling me this? And why do I have a feeling like it wasn't just her, like, who was doing all
Mm.
these horrid things?
Yeah.
That to me is a red flag when people just start complaining about their exes and
Mhm.
just all the things they've done wrong. And I'm like,
Yep.
tell me about your ex.
I agree. I agree 1,000%.
Yeah, like, I wanna hear her story, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You're just making yourself look dumb, to be honest.
Mhm.
Especially if it's a story with like no introspection whatsoever. Yeah. So those are all of our horrible stories about that. But we do want to talk about how people can be better feminists, how men can be better feminists, how women can be better feminists, right? We all grow up in a misogynistic society, you know, like girls wear dresses and boys go don't wear dresses and stuff like that. So we always need to unlearn that.
Let's talk about how, men and women can be better feminists.
Ways that men can be better feminists. I really would say to kind of like broaden your perspective, like go read a feminist theory book just to understand what's going on. Maybe go visit like a website regarding like sexual assault and violence against women to understand the bigger picture. Because sometimes I feel like when I talk to certain like cis men out there about just like regular things that women are always like on the lookout for, you know, like being apprehensive about walking alone in the evening, you know, like, oh, I don't want to stay there too late because I parked really far and then I'd have to walk back to my car in the dark. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then sometimes men are just like, why are you even worried about that? You have legs, you
Mhm.
know? So to me, I feel like some people don't understand like how like serious and like prevalent the violence actually is, you know? Like we said at the top of the episode, 1 in 3 women experience sexual assault, okay? Now, it might not be like full on rape, not saying that sexual assault is like not any worse or less than rape or anything like that. But I'm just saying 1 in 3 women had experienced like some form of like violence or harassment against them because they're a woman, you
Mhm.
know? And 1 in 3 women, like the fuck, that's such a big number. I probably could ask all of my like female identifying friends or woman identifying friends and they'll be like, oh yeah, this one time this guy did this to me, super
Mhm.
uncomfortable, one time this happened to me,
Mhm.
like literally. So I just think men could be better feminists by broadening their perspective. Read a book, go listen to some feminist thoughts or feminist speakers and stuff like that. Remain intersectional and also let go of your ego. You know what I mean? Like all of these things perpetuated against women, like 90% of the time, probably even a higher number to be honest,
Mhm.
uh, is perpetuated by men. So when men get
Yeah.
butt hurt, like, well, that's not me. That's not my friends.
Not all
I
men.
don't fucking care.
Yeah.
It's still happening and you're not doing anything about it. The fact that it's
Mhm.
not you, it doesn't matter because it's still happening.
Yeah, and
So,
and a
sorry,
per
go on.
oh, no, and the perfect segue is that the next thing I was gonna say is how men can be better feminists is they need to tell their homeboys to stop it. Because what happens in with misogyny and sexism is that even if a man tries to defend a woman from another man, that man might criticize them for being, "Oh, you're a fucking pussy," or you're a bitch for protecting women. And
Mhm.
that's how it can also hurt men as well. However, with that being said, men are more likely to respect and listen to other men
Yeah.
than women. So
Yep.
you men have to motherfucking stand up for us. We can do
I
all we
agree.
want, but it won't matter as much if men do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like sometimes like my fiance Tito, like I'll be like friendly with some man and I'm like, I like that man. That man is great. And Tito's like, oh, they're sexist. They were talking about all those like fucking sexist things with me. And
Mm,
I'm like, what the fuck? They didn't even like make any like indication or inkling of that when I was there. But
yikes.
then they talk about it with you. Well, obviously, because Tito is he's a fucking masculine presenting man, you know? So I can't always be there to call it out because they know that they have to hide it from me. I also just want men to think like after you broaden your perspectives and stuff like that, with that comes more critical thinking, right? Um, and also a lessening of their ego. One time, my guy friend showed me this video on International Women's Day, and he was like, "Oh, look at this video! It's awesome, isn't it?" Or something like that. You know, that was basically what my friend was implying, and it was like a video of like women being sexually harassed on the street. It was actually very like gross and disturbing, to be quite honest, and very uncomfortable. And I was like, "The fuck! I don't want to watch this. This is really gross." But the point of the video was like, oh, look at all these women being harassed on the street in this one area. But luckily for them, there's this one really nice guy who stands around every now and again in that area. And when that one nice guy's like see something happening like that, they go in and stop it. Look at this video footage of that one guy stopping
Oh my
it.
gosh.
And then that's it. That's the video. And I was like, in that bubble, in that like purely that bubble in that moment, you could say that is a good thing. But I feel like it's a little ignorant to like post a video of that in a celebratory way because like that man coming in to save the day, like that doesn't make me feel better. Like when I'm in
Absolutely
a
not.
yeah, when I'm in a time of need and I am being harassed, like yes, I it would be amazing if a man, woman, or non-binary person stepped in and helped me. I would love that. But that doesn't stop the core issue that there are fucking men with the like fucking misogynistic audacity
Mm-hmm.
to harass me. And later on in my life, like there's not always gonna be a fucking good man around to protect me. And I don't want a good man to be around to protect me all the time because I just want to know that I'm gonna be okay by virtue of being like a person,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But I know that's not the case because, you know, reality says otherwise right now. But like a video like that is questionable.
It is. It doesn't like present the whole picture. It's like, okay, cool, one guy did it, but it's like, what we want to see is structural change and like a cultural shift, not just like
Exactly.
one random guy, which is thank you, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like it's like you have like a million holes in a boat, but like one of them is plugged up. Like,
Mhm.
yay, but how about all the other 999,999 of them? You
Yep.
know?
Exactly.
So
Yeah. And it's like when
it
I called them
was
out on it,
mhm, mhm.
I was like, That's great for that guy. I hope he keeps doing that in his life." But like this video is not really celebrating a woman. It's not really like a good video. And my friend was like, I just wanted to show you the video, okay? And I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, but I'm telling you, like you're acting as if this is like a fun video. This is not a fun video. In
right.
fact, it kind of to me, it kind of gives people or like other men who think that they're doing a good thing, like the mindset that like, oh, I need to protect women, but doesn't that just uphold the patriarchy that women need to be protected against the evils of the world? But the evil in the world is like fucking violent men, and it's a lot, you know?
Yeah, and it's not even celebrating women at that point. It's celebrating a man protecting a woman. So it's not even, actually
Yeah.
yeah, and your friend is not even really listening to you, a woman who that month is dedicated to. So I'm like, hello, wake up. Like
Yeah,
like it's
that
so ironic in many ways. It's like
that video was made so that like men could jerk off to like some inspiration porn, you know? Like I'm
yeah.
gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be one good guy. I don't need to do anything else.
Oh yeah, all is resolved in the world.
But
Yeah.
so that's that, but how women could be better feminists, right? I think watch your language.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say to I think slut shaming is a big thing. It obviously is like amongst men, but like when women do it to each other, that just hits differently and
Mm-hmm.
not in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say whatever internalized misogyny you have pent up, like you need to recognize it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, mhm.
Oh, you can go.
Okay. Like I feel like on my end, I started to realize I had like internalized misogyny when I kind of like turned 18, you know? And I was all like, why do I just like inherently don't want to hang out with like other women? Like I like them, but then when I do, I feel like I don't like them, and that's wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like years of me growing up and like this weird perceived notion that I need to like win some man, but then I don't win that man or the boy because I was a girl at the time, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't win that boy because that boy decides to go with this other girl. And I'm all like, I lost to a girl. Oh my God, this is fuck. I need the validation of a boy. I was
Mm-hmm.
a girl, so I'm calling them boys. Anyway,
Yeah, for
I need
sure.
the validation of a boy, and these girls are taking that away from me. Oh, I hate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it just fucking sucks. Like, I want to hang out with other women. They're great.
Yeah, they are. I think I definitely was more misogynistic as a girl because less life experience, the messages we're told. Um, but I think around the time of 18, I was like, nah, because I had a really great group of friends in high school and we just kind of like saw all of those like sexist thinkings, you know? Um, my freshman year of college, we had to take a communications class, and I did a presentation, like a persuasive one on like what is rape culture and why you should stop slut shaming people.
Mhm.
Because it was so pervasive in a college setting where it's like, "Oh, she's a slut, she's easy, etc." And I'm like, "Bro, you're
Yeah.
easy. What are you
Hmm.
talking about?"
You're easy and stupid.
Yeah. So that was when I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "Why are people so mean to women for no reason?"
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, so that's when I was like, "This is stupid." And then, kind of, classes and stuff like that, really, I learned a
Mhm.
lot. But how to be a better feminist as a woman, for me was, I don't know, paying attention to, like, the language and how I knew how absurd it was, doing a lot of research, um you know, I did research on, like, ending human trafficking, that's appalling, and just going to the core of, like, why are people being discriminated against for no reason, and I think the last thing is too is looking into intersectional feminism. I know we keep on talking about that, but it's like, as we said, if you do not understand the struggles of, like, the most marginalized people or women, like, then you're not feminist, and that's, like, a really
Mhm.
bold statement, but it's true. If you're only looking out for yourself and, like, your type of people, but you don't care about, like, Black trans women, then no. You don't care
Yeah.
about all women then. So, that's your bad, and that's what you need to do research on.
We did want to give like a good call to action and like overarching how to help for all genders out there, right? Um, so we kind of touched on this earlier too, but like, you know, if you see something, you should motherfucking say something, you know? Like, don't sit around twiddling your thumbs. Like, doing something is better than doing nothing, you know?
Mhm.
Davi felt, well, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but it's like when you went through that thing with your stupid ass Jack,
Mhm.
and then literally no one wanted to do anything except your brother, but that wasn't really like a big help.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no one wanted to do the thing that you needed them to do, I
Yep.
think is what is an accurate statement.
Yes.
And that's bullshit.
BS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then if someone tells you something, like when Carolyn decided to trust her friend, listen to them, validate them, believe them, and give them a safe and judgment-free space, okay? And another big thing too is if you feel like you wanna report something, before you even do that or confront the perpetrator, make sure you ask permission
Mhm.
because that's you don't it's not fair to the person for you to just kinda go out there,
Mhm.
that's not their if they're not comfortable, etcetera, 'cause, like, they've experienced that trauma, they should at least get to decide what they get to do with it moving forward. Some topics that we want you to look into if you're more curious about this is rape culture, intersectional feminism, white feminism, and statistics regarding sexual assault.
And remember to educate yourself, be preventative, aka call people out when they say some shit, and be proactive when someone needs help. Go help them.
Mhm.
And remember to get into good trouble.
We're going to wrap up today's episode here. We want to hear from you. What are ways people can be better feminists? Email us at just2asianwomen@gmail.com, DM us on Instagram at just2asianwomen podcast, or comment on our YouTube channel at just2asianwomen.
And you could find our podcast on Spotify, Anchor FM, and YouTube.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you enjoyed it, please consider sharing with your friends. That would be awesome. You'll hear from us again next week. Again, my name is Davy.
And I'm Carolyn. And we're just
Just two
two
Asian
Asian
women.
women. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.